A list of 33 things we know about the coming food shortages. In 2023, there will be famines and civil unrest all over the globe. Michael Schneider writes this on Collective Spark. Things are far worse than you are being told. Over the past few months, I've been carefully documenting facts that show that global food production is going to be way down in 2022. Unfortunately, most people out there don't seem to understand that the food that is not being grown in 2022 won't be on our store shelves in 2023. We're potentially facing an absolutely unprecedented worldwide food crisis next year, but the vast majority of the population does not seem very alarmed about this. So I would encourage you to help me get this warning out by sharing this list with as many people as you possibly can. And as you'll see below, we now have so many data points that it's impossible to deny what is coming. The following is a list of 33 things we know about the coming food shortages. 1. The hard red winter wheat crop in the United States this year was the smallest since 1963. But in 1963, there were only 182 million people living in this nation. Today, our population has grown to 329 million. 2, it's being projected that the rice harvest in California will be, quote, half what it would be in a normal year, end quote. 3, the U.S. tomato harvest will come in at just 10.5 million tons in 2022. That's over 1 million tons lower than a normal year. 4, this will be the worst U.S. corn harvest in at least a decade. 5, year-to-date shipments of carrots in the United States are down 45%. 6, year-to-date shipments of sweet corn in the United States are down 20%. 7, year-to-date shipments of sweet potatoes in the United States are down 13%. 8, year-to-date shipments of celery in the United States are down 11%. 9, total peach production in the U.S. is down 15% from last year. 10, almost 3/4 of the U.S. farmers say that this year's drought is hurting their harvests. 11, thanks to the endless drought, the total number of cattle in Oregon is down 41%. 12, thanks to the endless drought, the total number of cattle in New Mexico is down 43%. 13, thanks to the endless drought, the total number of cattle in Texas is down 50%. 14, one beef producer in Oklahoma is now predicting that ground beef, quote, could eventually top $50 a pound. 15, at least 40% of the United States has been suffering from drought conditions for over 101 consecutive weeks. That's over 2 years. Oh, it's over 2 years. No, just under 2 years. What am I saying? Okay, sorry. 54 weeks in a year. Now, number 16, overall, this is the worst multi-year mega drought in the United States in 1,200 years. 17, Europe is currently experiencing the worst drought that it's seen in 500 years. In some parts of Central Europe, river levels have fallen so low that the hunger stones are being revealed for the first time in centuries. 18, corn production for the entire European Union could be down as much as 1/5 in 2022. That's 20%. 19, we are being warned that there will be crop losses in France of up to 35%. 20, it's being projected that crop losses in some areas of the UK could be as high as 50%. 21, it's being reported that there will be crop losses of up to 50% in some parts of Germany. 22, some farmers in Italy have already lost up to 80% of their harvest. 23, some farmers in Italy, 80% of their harvest. 23, agricultural production in Somalia will be down by 80% this year. 24, in Eastern Africa, the endless drought has already resulted in the deaths of at least 7 million animals. 25, in China, they're facing the worst drought that they've ever experienced in recorded history. 26, India normally accounts for 40% of the global rice trade, but we are being warned that production in that country will be way down in 2022 due to the considerable rainfall deficits in key rice-producing states, even though in Pakistan over a third of the country is flooded. 27. A third of the entire nation of Pakistan was underwater after recent floods absolutely devastated that nation, and agricultural areas were hit particularly hard. As a result, the vast majority of the crops in the country have been washed away. It has also been estimated that roughly 65% of the country's food basket, particularly crops like rice, cotton, wheat, and onion, have been washed away. Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, in an interview to CGTN earlier this week, offered an even starker outlook by saying that about 80 to 90% of the country's crops have been damaged by the floods. 28. The price of some fertilizers have tripled since 2021, while the prices of some other fertilizers have actually quadrupled. 29. One payment company is reporting that the number of Americans using their app to take out short-term loans for groceries has risen by 95%. 30. Demand at U.S. food banks is now even worse than it was during the height of the COVID pandemic. 31. The World Health Organization is telling us that millions of people in Africa are now potentially facing a very real possibility of starving to death. 32. According to the World Food Program, 828 million people around the world go to bed hungry each night. Needless to say, that number will soon be much higher. 33. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has publicly stated that he believes that it is likely that there will be multiple famines in 2023. As global food supplies get tighter and tighter, so will the risk of civil unrest. In fact, this has already been happening. The risk of civil unrest has surged this year in more than half of the world's countries, signaling a coming period of heightened global instability fueled by inflation, war, and shortages of essentials, and new analysis states. According to Verisk Maplecroft, a UK-based risk consulting intelligence firm, 101 of 198 countries tracked on its civil unrest index saw an increase in their risk of civil unrest between the second and third quarters of this year. In recent weeks, we've seen absolutely massive protests in cities all over the planet, but conditions are not even that bad yet. So what will things be like in 2023 when it finally becomes exceedingly clear that there simply will not be enough food for everyone? And even if there was enough food, it would cost a tremendous amount. And who will be able to afford it? Now, wealthy countries will have the resources to buy up much of what is available on the market, and that means that many poor countries will deeply suffer. If everything that you've read in the article sounds familiar, that's because we have been warned for years that such conditions were coming. In 2023, there will be famines and civil unrest all over the globe, it appears, if this does materialize. And this is not a drill. An extremely serious global food crisis has already begun. And I would encourage you to get prepared for what is ahead while you still can. Views expressed in the article are opinions of the author, Michael Schneider, do not necessarily reflect the views of Collective Spark, or me either. So about the author, my name, he says, is Michael Schneider, and my brand new book entitled 7-Year Apocalypse is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 5 others that are available on Amazon: Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Get Prepared Now, and Living a Life That Really Matters. By purchasing the books, you help to support the work that my wife and I are doing, and by giving it to others, you help to multiply the impact that we're having on people all over the globe. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, The End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section in each article. The material contained in this article is for general purposes, information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is a great help. And during these very challenging times, people will need hope more than ever before, as it's our goal to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with as many people as we possibly can. This is by Michael Schneider on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.